beautiful day in front of us, a day that not only has sunshine, but it has some brilliance in the peanut in my lifetime, Amos Oz, the author, who will all three be. You know, some men are made to make history. I have the pleasure and privilege of introducing this morning
is that it gives us the opportunity of appraising our performance from a general historic vantage point. Israelis, as you know, are caught up in a constant and agitated criticism of themselves. We are looking at ourselves in order to elicit our image day by day. Now, anybody who keeps on looking at himself from close up in an enlarging mirror is asking for trouble. Criticism is not only an intrinsic Jewish characteristic, it's a single day. We knew that the attack upon us would come in any case, whether century, in a situation of absolute and of relative strength, which puts any prospect of successful assault upon us beyond all rationality. Not only is the balance of Israel's strength stable today, but there is every assurance of its maintenance and development in the years to come. We do not live any longer in an atmosphere in which we do not know where the next aircraft or where the next tank is coming from. Not only is there a great increase in our individual and local capacity for assuring a dictate of self-interest and of international equilibrium is the renewal of war, coexistence that is arising. Therefore, the maintenance of Israel's balance of strength is the interest of all those who value stability, equilibrium, is to light. If Arab opinion now understands that this hope is an illusion, then one of the obstacles on the road to peace will have been removed. I cannot leave the problem of security behind without referring to its continuous burden. There is no way of preventing war except by maintaining a balance of power. If we were to obtain a peace settlement, there would be no way of ensuring its maintenance except by a balance of power. Therefore, whether there is peace or whether there is not peace, Israel, by the sheer logic of its regional position, will always be called upon to maintain a high level of preparedness, either in order to obtain peace or in order to maintain it once it has been reached. Natural hinterland for Israel's industrial, commercial, and technological development. In those contacts, I found most of my colleagues unaware of the fact that Israel imports from the 9 countries goods to the extent of over $1 billion a year and exports to them something under $500 million a year, and that this volume in both directions exceeds the importance as markets of all the contiguous countries put together. In other words, Israel as an economy has a small body but a very large mouth, and as a consumer society, it represents a market which must be of interest to the whole Mediterranean world. And to have achieved this out of that parsimony of resources that we had in 1948, we must, as I've said, avoid the June the 4th lines, but we must not reach a position of believing that the present situation is eternal and permanent. We do, between those extremes, have a wide range in which our diplomacy can maneuver upon a basis of rationality capable of ensuring the support of our own people and also the understanding of many throughout the world. And I close on this question of peace and of negotiation. I hope nobody will ask me when I think the Arabs will make peace, because if you want to ask me that question, I can simply give you advice about how some of you could get to Cairo. Ask the question there. Really, the inhibitions to negotiation do not exist on this side. We can promote a negotiating atmosphere in several ways. Firstly, by closing off the other options. To close off the option of war by maintaining alertness and a balance of power. Close off the illusion of an imposed settlement simply by refusing to accept it. And by winning the support of others, and we have won it, for the principle of a negotiated agreement and the principle of non-coercion. No, I was using the atomic theory in its mathematical relationship, namely that the inverse relationship of size to strength, as far as my understanding goes, that is the essence of the equation. In other words, you sometimes create strength not by dispersal of your energies, but by a concentration of them. And I think there is logic in the statement that Secretary Rogers made some time ago, that it's unlikely and unrealistic to expect a transition from total deadlock to total peace. Incidentally, that has not happened anywhere else. There is never a total transition. There have to be stages. And therefore that one should take the first step by an arrangement for opening the Suez Canal with a limited and agreed withdrawal, in the hope that this agreement would create momentum for other agreements. We accept that logic, and therefore we accepted the concept of the proximity talks. In our recent discussions with the United States, we find that that priority is still in their minds. They believe that Egypt is the central theme, and that within the Egyptian-Israeli context, it's the first step that we ought to think about, and not try to get the whole settlement falling into place at once. So we're available for this idea. It was the idea of these proximity talks was presented to us by the United States 2 years ago. We accept the idea and the good offices of the United States. One of the few developments of interest in the last 3 months is, I don't want to exaggerate it or to underestimate it, but by the visits to Washington at high levels of responsibility from Jordan and Egypt and Israel, it's proved that there is one capital, perhaps only one, in which all the parties concerned are willing to bring the frank exposition of their views and their interests. That's one of the great successes of American policy, which in general has been so successful in the past 2 or 3 years that I never really expected that it would change. I've not been able to understand the hope in the Arab countries or the nervous anxiety in Israel in the past year about the change. Whenever I came back from the United States, people said, well, no, when's it going to end? It can't be true. If anything is going well, it's too good to be true. And I said, I don't see any reason why it should end, because governments do not usually change policies that have proved effective and successful from their own point of view. From the point of view of the United States,